literally take yourself all the way through that scenario. Do your kids still love you? Or does your dog still love you? Are you healthy still? We make things so much scarier in our mind than they actually are. Oh my gosh, guys, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I actually meant to look and see which number of the podcast this is. I think this is episode 687, which is pretty freaking awesome. I don't know. It's a lot of years doing this show. It's a lot of effort to get to that point, and I was just feeling chuffed up about it this week. So I was like, all right, good on us. This is coming out in one of my favorite weeks of the year, Halloween week.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
I don't know if you have been following my continuous coverage of my love for Halloween on both social media and in my Sunday email. If you have, then you understand that I am such a dork and I love this time of year so much. I'm actually pretty disappointed that I didn't think to wear a costume today. I'm really excited about my Halloween costume and I'm bummed. I really wish that I had recorded this episode for you in full costume so that those of you who are watching it on YouTube could experience just how great my costume's going to be. But whatever you're getting. I said this outfit today is like sexy librarian. Let me show you this though. These are blue light blocking, slightly magnifying, very dirty glasses. Trying to be better about wearing my real glasses or wearing blue light blocking glasses for the computer because I really feel like it's affecting my eyes. But I've always wanted the glasses that have the dangly things. I don't know why. It's very is it the 70s? I don't know, but I'm loving it, guys. Anywho, because it is Halloween week, it feels like we should talk about fear. I know it's on the nose and probably a lot of podcasts are theming to fear, but you know what? You know I love a theme. But before we get into that conversation, which is actually probably helpful, can we talk about some things that are not helpful at all, but that I am very excited about and I would tell you about if we were having coffee right now?
Time for talking and coffee and talking, gabbing and gossip with your pal Rachel.
Number one, can we talk about the shows I'm watching? In case you haven't seen them and you are looking for some great things to stream, I just have happened to find a few lately and we have to talk about. Number one, we are obviously starting with Nobody Wants This. Everybody is watching this. If you haven't watched it, I cannot recommend it to you enough. It's Kristen Bell. It's Adam Brody doing the most.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, buckle up.
He is so cute. He is so charming. I mean, just love it. It is a 90s rom-com, but it's a TV show. So it's multiple episodes giving us exactly what we want. Two beautiful people falling in love, being adorable. Just watch it, you guys. Just watch it. And also, if you are listening to this and you work at any studio, streaming service, TV station, I don't know what that means, but if you work in the industry and you have the ability to green light things, will you just pay attention to how much people in my age bracket, I'm 42 in January, so let's say we're going to do a whole segment, let's say from 30 to 50. Can you just pay attention to how we're all watching the show? And can you understand that we are here for a rom-com? Remember that movie that came out this summer where it was the guy from Top Gun and something Sweeney girl. Wow, this is the worst description ever. But they meet each other and they sort of fall in love and then they go to the sister's wedding in Australia. I'm not sure why, but it was beautiful. We're here for it. I get it. I get that there is a whole world of people who want to watch true crime. They want to watch true crime. They want to find out about the girl who, the husband murdered her and then put her fingers in the mailbox. And I don't even know. I made that up. And it's probably a true crime story though, if we're being honest. I wish you would listen to the fact that there are a lot of people who feel like life is hard. This election coverage is stressful. Just give us some joy. That's all I'm saying. The second thing, oh my joy. Okay, this is making me beam. Only Murders in the Building. I am so sad that it took me this long to get on this show because I love Steve Martin. I love him as an actor. Let's talk about Father of the Bride. I love him as a writer. Let's talk about Shop Girl. Oh, I loved that book when I first moved to LA. He's just so talented. You got Steve Martin. You've got Martin Short, which is delightful.
Oh, that is a very good line.
And then Selena Gomez, who obviously I know because I like her music, but I am in love with her now.
Do I want to break into a dead guy's apartment and go through all his Sounds like an afternoon.
And I feel really confident that the other day when I was on my walk, that she walked by me. I looked over and my brain said, I think that's Selena Gomez. And then she looked at me like, please don't talk to me. Because, you know, probably celebrity, they don't want. And not that I would have. Oh my God, I would never harass Selena Gomez in person. But my point is, I just love her. I mean, it is delightful. I feel like it's a really great option for the people who like to watch the true crime, the fingers in the mailbox thing. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'll talk to my therapist about it. But I feel like it's a really great option for the true crime people who know they're going too hard on true crime and need some levity, because Murders in the Building is actually about these three strangers who team up because someone gets murdered in their building and they solve it. Like they do a true crime podcast and it's just, oh my God, it's so cute. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm sorry, I'm gushing. Sorry, not sorry. Whoever does the wardrobe styling for this show, if you know them, will you just pass this clip on? You're just killing it. The outfits are fabulous, especially Steve Martin and Selena Gomez. And wherever you are getting her jackets and coats, we would all like that information because wow. And then the last thing, which is very old and very unlike me, but I am really enjoying. On a whim, I started watching Killing Eve. This one is not delightful and sunny. This one is a little bit more dark.
I have children.
I don't want your children.
Sandra Oh is amazing. It's written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who, I mean, I think every female writer has such a crush on. Probably some of the guys too. But it's written by her, so it's like quirky and awkward.
What is that smell?
I can't smell anything.
And truth be told, I do fast forward every scene where the killer kills people. You know how like if you like take your cursor over the bottom of the screen, it'll just sort of show you it in fast forward. I just watch it in fast forward. I'm like, okay, she just killed him with a hairpin. Really big fan. We did a full spectrum. We did from full rom-com, then we kind of hit it in the middle with Only Murders, then we went all the way to Killing Eve. But somewhere in there is a great option for you to enjoy. So check those out. I have to tell you guys a funny story because it's funny. Last Friday, my boo and I were going to a concert. He was very excited. We live in LA and the Greek is a fantastic venue. Honestly, if I'm going to see a concert, my choices would always be outdoors. The Hollywood Bowl and the Greek Theater are favorites because they're outside. You should definitely go to them if you haven't yet. So Boo finds out that Hermanos Gutierrez and Leon Bridges are coming to town. And he's a huge fan of Hermanos Gutierrez. So he's like, oh my God, what a show. And it's at the Greek. This is so fun. We should go. We decide we're going to make a whole night of it. We're going to go on a date. We ended up finding our wedding bands, which was really fun. We went to this really cool jewelry store and found all their jewelry is small, limited run, designers, like not big business. Anyway, I'm in love with my band. I think it's so sweet. I can't wait to get it. Then we went to dinner, which was very fun. We went to Encanto in Los Feliz, if you're looking for a place. It was like Baja style Mexican food. Delicious. Also very sceney. I felt super hip. I had to like yell at him because we're old and we can't hear each other.
What?
So that felt like, whoa, look at us, we're out. Then you can walk up the hill to the Greek, which is so fun. I was wearing this fantastic outfit, feeling great. This is the full, like, it's fall. We're going to an outdoor concert, so that's the why for the big jacket. Got so many compliments on my outfit. So you know when other women compliment you, you're like, oh, okay, I did it tonight. Walk up to the Greek. He holds his phone out. The guy's scanning his phone. It won't scan in. He's like, well, try your other ticket. He slides it over, trying to scan. It won't scan in. And the guy's like, wait, what concert are you here to see? And Kez is like, Leon Bridges. And the guy's like, oh, did you buy tickets for the Greek Theater in Berkeley, California? Which is when we discovered that we had bought tickets to a concert in a city in the Bay Area. That was happening right then. So it's not even like you could sell those tickets, and you definitely can't get to San Francisco on no notice. Our private jet was busy at the mechanic that night. So it's not like we could just jump up there and see it. What a blow. What an absolute blow. The whole way back down the hill, he was just like, so like, wah, wah. But we did get our wedding bands. Also, can I tell you guys something? I started looking for dresses. We're going to talk about fear in a minute. So I started looking for wedding dresses, and I don't know what I want, but I know I definitely am not going to wear white. I don't think. That just feels like it's pretty, but it also sort of feels like, who are we kidding? So I don't know what to get, and I don't think I want a wedding dress because I don't know. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to look cute, but I don't want to be uncomfortable. I was scrolling Anthro. I was scrolling the app because, to be totally honest, sometimes social media is very overwhelming, but I do want to look at pretty pictures. So I'll go scroll like Anthropology or Free People, and I'll just look at outfits. I thought, oh, I wonder if Anthro has like dresses that would be cool. And I found a couple that I was like, maybe it's this moment. It wasn't, but I did feel excited about like, okay, it's not this, but it's something. So in both instances, the dresses are red. The first one is, I really thought was going to be a winner. I was like, this is a good sort of chilly weather wedding dress. And I had to get it in a size bigger than I actually wear because they didn't have my size, but I thought that's fine. If I like it, I'll have it tailored. And I put it on and it was like, fine. Not like you want to put on your wedding dress and be like, oh my gosh, holy crap, this is amazing. I didn't do that. So I was like, okay, great. Then I got this other one that was a bit of a stretch for me because it had these big puffy sleeves, but it was so chic, and I'm not going to have it. I'm sending it back, but it was beautiful. And if any of you need like a red, beautiful dress, I did think this was very nice. Anyway, so the search continues. I'll keep you guys posted. I don't know what I'm wearing, but I did think that perhaps it would be exciting to just see where we started. Oh, wait, I have one more thing I'm supposed to tell you guys, which is we are down to the last of the Start Today journals. If you have one and you don't need it, just ignore this. We're doing an end of season sale because it's the last of Start Today product. I have no plans to add more. We brought back this round for this year. Like, so many people DM'd me and emailed and were like, please, please, please Start Today. Please bring it back. We brought it back. I'm so happy you're happy, but this is it. I do not have plans to do more. So if you want one, get it. Get it, girl. Get it, boy. Now is your time. Let's talk about fear. We all experience it, right? We all have moments in our life where we're too afraid to do something that we know would be really good for us. Sometimes that fear is momentary. You see someone at the coffee shop you think is really cute, and you wish that you had the courage to go over and say hi, but you chicken out, and now, we'll never know if that was something that was meant to be. Or there are seasons and years and sometimes decades where a fear of something isn't squashed. And so it starts to take over our life. And it starts to take over our life because we begin to make decisions around that fear, not in opposition to it. It starts to spread and grow and get bigger. And I think the headline above and beyond when it comes to the things that you're afraid of, and I'd love for you to just think of some right now. This can be literal phobias, things you don't do because you have it in your head that, spiders are terrifying, or you'd love to try bungee jumping, but what if the cord breaks or whatever. Those can be phobias, and those can be you're terrified of a fear of getting something wrong. You're terrified of failing. You're terrified of succeeding. You're afraid of confrontation. You're afraid of telling the truth. You're afraid of speaking your voice. Whatever the fear is to you, I think that the biggest takeaway from today's conversation, I'll just give it to you right here at the top, is that the antidote to your fear is facing it. That's it. And yes, there are all sorts of layers, and there is therapy, and there is conversation, and there's figuring it out, But really, when I look at some of the biggest fears I've ever had in my life, the answer to them was when I finally got enough courage to face them. And when you finally get enough courage to face the thing, it's never as scary as you made it out to be. In fact, when I think of most of the horrible things that have happened in my life, it's never the stuff that I worried about. I mean, that's why I wrote a book called Didn't See That Coming, because the most painful things I ever went through were the things that were a shock, were the things that I couldn't have anticipated before they were in my life. Honestly, I have just experienced a big one this week. I have been having pain in my breasts for the last like 3.5 weeks. When it first started happening, I thought it was cramps. Like, sometimes when you're on your period, you get cramps in your boobs. I thought it was that. It didn't go away. And it kept hurting and the pain sort of kept getting worse. And I started to really get nervous. And I am incredibly healthy. I don't get sick. I eat really well. I take care of I do all the things. I knew in my gut, when I checked in with my inner wisdom, with my inner knowing, I knew that I was okay, but I knew that something was wrong and I didn't know what. I think that anytime you have something going on in those areas that we all know could potentially be cancer, let's just say it, when you're talking about your breasts, I think that's a concern we have. I found a lump maybe 12 years ago, and I tend to have, my boobs are very dense and they can be lumpy. Sorry. Wow. This is so sexy. I assume no dudes are watching this. I assume it's just other people who have boobs. So yeah, lumpy boobies. I had a lump quite a while ago that I had to go have an ultrasound done and do all these things. And it was really scary. It turned out to be nothing and it went away on its own. But this was very different. I couldn't find any lumps. There was no discoloration, but just really was hurting. And it really freaked me out. And the more time it went on, the more freaked out I was. And I finally was like, okay, I just have to go get this checked. Can we just all agree that we don't around with our health? Ever, ever, ever. In fact, maybe someone listening to this or watching this needs to hear me say it right now because you have a pain or you have a lump or you have something you are not getting checked. We don't around with that. We don't. If you are concerned about something, your intuition is talking to you, go have it looked at, go have it checked. Please. I was like, I have to go have this done. And I went and had ultrasounds done. Even as she was doing it, it was really painful. And I was just even telling you guys about it, I feel a little sick to my stomach. I noticed, I was trying to look at the ultrasound machine. I obviously don't know what you're looking for on an ultrasound, but I was trying to see it. At one point I saw her, there were these sort of oval shaped dark pockets and I saw her dragging the little thing across the ultrasound machine to measure it. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? I think you guys get it because I think if you're here listening to this or watching it, you are in my community and my kids have already lost one parent and that's where my brain went. It's so dramatic. You know me, I am dramatic. But it just scared me because I could see something on the ultrasound, but I didn't know what it was. As soon as I got in the car, I obviously Googled what is an ultrasound tech looking for during a breast exam. I saw on Google Image what I had seen on the ultrasound, which was a cyst. So I have literally this morning just gotten the results. It's nothing serious, but I do have a lot of cysts. I have 5. But the headline was, it's pretty common during perimenopause and menopause, your hormones are shifting drastically. It's common to get cysts. They are uncomfortable. Sometimes they are painful, but they're not dangerous. She also said that I'm supposed to stop having so much caffeine, which feels rude. But my point is, there was a lot of fear and I was afraid of what the results were. But the only way out is through. Burying your head in the sand or pulling the covers back up over your head, it just allows the fear to continue to fester and grow. It's not going to stay the same. It's going to get bigger. And you are way too powerful to let something like fear control you. Your imagination created the fear. And thank you, imagination. I understand that you are trying to keep me safe. But if you created the fear, you can eliminate the fear. Okay, so in the new book, every single chapter is a different question. It's a question that I hope when you read it, or maybe when you hear me say it right now, just allows you to have some introspection, some unpacking, to ask yourself some questions about what's going on in your life and maybe how you can take it on in a better way. So one of the chapters is called Who Would You Be Without Your Fear? And I tell the story of one of the years in my life when I was the most afraid and the most sort of held captive by that fear. I write about navigating through that. So I'd love to read you guys a little bit of this chapter. Hold while I put on my sexy librarian. I keep saying sexy librarian, and I realize that truly nothing about this outfit is sexy, but I just think we should call ourselves sexy all the time. How about that plan? Okay. What I lacked in motivation, I made up for in intention. I decided right then in that moment that I'd become brave, not just in some areas, but all over, every part of me, fully courageous. I had no idea what to do next, so I did what I always do in that instance. I asked the universe for help. Please help me learn to be brave, I prayed. I swear, at that exact moment, my love got a text. Everyone back at the house we'd rented with his friends had decided to do a polar plunge. To celebrate the new year, they were going to jump in the Atlantic, which on that day was a balmy 42 degrees. They were asking if he wanted to go with them. Nobody asked if I wanted to go. They knew better. But so does the universe. It knows better. When you ask it to help you be brave, it doesn't magically make you a certain way. It provides you with the opportunity to practice bravery. I'm in, I told him. Wait, what? He grinned. You're going to jump in the ocean with us. Yes, now let's go before I change my mind. I walked back to our rental with conviction. I hadn't actually brought a bathing suit with me on this trip. Why would I? So I wore my giant black period panties and a decades-old sports bra. The whole way down to the beach, wrapped in at least 18 layers, I mentally prepared myself to take off my clothes on a blustery, freezing beachfront. Never mind the water. I couldn't even contemplate that yet. I was just trying to figure out how to get undressed. A voice guided me. Don't think, just do. And so I did. There is a video of me that day, shocking everyone by stripping down to my skivvies on the rocky shore and walking directly into the slate gray ocean without stopping.
Yes! Baby. Yeah, good job.
Once there, I screamed like I was being murdered, dunked myself up to my neck, still not getting my hair wet, thank you very much, and ran back out. I shook violently while trying to get redressed, but once I was back in my parka, I swear to you, something was different. I had certainly done scary things in my adult life, but never with stoicism. I'd usually whined or built up to it or freaked out. I'm a verbal processor by nature, and I always thought that talking about the things I was scared of would help me do them. Walking into the water without hesitation and without any narration on my part was something new. I was being brave for myself, not so that anyone else would think I was brave. So that's from What If You Were the Answer, which comes out on January 7th. And if you like the sound of my voice, you can pre-order it on Audible. You can pre-order it anywhere else too. And we are about to launch our pre-order gift campaign, which is really exciting. And I promise I'm going to tell you about it soon. You know, we've heard the quote a million times, or variations of this quote, that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing something even though you are afraid. I was thinking about times in the last 5 years where I have really felt afraid and have hesitated in doing something because of that feeling. And one that popped into my mind that I think many of you can relate to is falling in love again after getting divorced, going through a big breakup. The willingness to trust another man, or to trust anyone. Honestly, many times I was like, I wish I was attracted to women because it feels like it would be much easier to be a lesbian. But that's neither here nor there. The ability to trust a man again was really hard. It's not just trusting someone to go on a date. It's not just trusting intimacy or sex. It's like everything. It's body image. It's, am I going to be judged? Are they going to think this thing? Am I this? Am I that? What if I really like them and then they don't like me back? Or what if he breaks my heart? What if I break his heart? Like, there's just so much in that process. The fear that I had, and I mean fear, of someone seeing me naked again. I'm sure there are people listening to this who have so much body confidence and you're just like super happy being naked. It's your natural state. You love it. That is something I've really had to work toward. So the idea of being with another man and like being naked and him seeing my stretch marks and my saggy stomach and having sex with someone who probably hasn't had sex with someone who pushed 3 babies out of their body. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about this yesterday because I knew I was going to talk to you guys about it. And I was like, you know, you could say, face your fear, just do the thing. But in this particular circumstance, I actually think it was, yes, having the courage to face it, meaning having the courage to go on a date again, having the courage to talk to someone, having the courage to believe that not all people are the same and I'm not going to get hurt again, like all of that stuff. But more than anything, it was learning to have faith in myself. That is actually the best advice I could give you if you struggle with this fear of trusting someone again, is what is more important is that you develop a trust with yourself. You have to get to the place where you know that you are going to take care of you. And I couldn't have dated again until I got to the place where I knew I would have the courage to call bullshit if it needed to be called, to walk away if it was necessary, to have confrontation, to say the truth, to show up as myself. And that is not about the partner you choose. Yeah, you want to choose someone who's not trash. That would be really helpful. But that is really about you knowing yourself and you having faith in yourself that you go, okay, if all of a sudden I discover that you are a garbage human, I am willing to walk away. You know that you can leap because you are the one who will catch yourself if you fall. At least for me, that was the key to this kind of fear. I've got me in this because the person that I love most in this relationship is me. The second kind of fear that I was thinking about that I think some of you can relate to is the fear of putting yourself out there, is the fear of chasing the dream, is the fear of calling your shot, going after the goal, building the business, growing in your career. That takes courage. It takes audacity. It takes grit. It takes 10,000 hours. It takes showing up again and again. So there's like the fear we have before we even begin anything new. And then I think there's also a fear of what if you do pursue something and you fail? So how do you show up in those circumstances? And I've talked a ton about fear of failure over the years because I think it's such a popular subject because so many of us have it. But I was reading up on it yesterday and I was so fascinated to discover something a perspective I'd never heard before, which is that a fear of failure is actually a fear of shame. We're afraid that we're going to be ashamed. We're afraid that the world sees us fail. It's like that great expression, are you afraid of failing or are you afraid of them watching you fail? That's about shame. That's about what it will feel like if people have a certain perception of you. And yes, other people's opinion is none of our business. We should know that. We should operate from that perspective. But that's much easier said than done. I think for me, I wrote this down, to be totally honest. I wrote this down in my notes and I was like, I don't know if that sounds too harsh. Cause like I want to give ideas that are like helpful and beautiful and whole and organic and good. And this was just my gut instinct reaction to this. And I don't think that you could use shame as a motivation, but what I actually thought was, well, what would I feel more shame about? Would I feel more shame about pursuing this thing and messing up at it, getting it wrong? And I do highly recommend, in an effort to face your fear, in an effort to desensitize yourself to this process, that you imagine, okay, what would happen then? I'm going to say one of my younger kids is terrified of throwing up. Terrified. His big brother was the same way. I don't know if he heard his big brother talk about it and now he has this fear. He's thrown up once in the last 10 years and he is just petrified of it happening again. And the other night, I was like, okay, let's just talk it through. Let's talk it through. What happens if you get so sick that you throw up? And I could see it was just like He was so freaked out by this conversation. And I'm like, buddy, will you stay in the conversation with me? If you need to, there's a toilet right there. If this freaks you out so much that you throw up, the toilet's right there. You're going to be fine. Can we just talk it through? Because your fear of not facing it in any capacity is actually making it much worse. So I was like, what happens if you get so sick that you throw up? And he said, I just don't want my body to feel like that. And I was like, oh, I totally get it. Nobody likes the feeling of that nausea right before you puke. But what would happen then? He's like, well, I would feel out of control. Like I can't control puking. I'm like, yeah, that's real. Like there are times in life where we can't control it if we're going to puke. And then what would happen? And then what would happen? And we talk it through. And I'm like, but you just like, you'd go in the bathroom, you'd throw up in the toilet, you'd rinse your mouth out, you brush your teeth, we'd throw that toothbrush away because that's disgusting, and we'd move on with our life, and you probably would feel a lot better after you puked. And he was like, yeah. And it sounds so simple, but oftentimes just taking yourself through that process, okay, worst case scenario, business fails, everyone sees it, everyone in your town is like talking about it and like, oh my gosh, Cheryl failed at the barbecue baked beans pop-up shop. She really failed at that. And everyone's talking about it. And your parents are bummed for you. They saw you fail. And like the mean girls from middle school, they saw you fail. Like literally take yourself all the way through that scenario. Do your kids still love you? Does your dog still love you? Are you healthy still? We make things so much scarier in our mind than they actually are. So this is one of those times where actually just playing it all the way through, and then what would happen? And you get to the very bottom of, and then what would happen, and realize it's okay. It's never as bad as we make it out to be. I ask myself this question about shame. I say, what would I feel more shame about? Would I feel more shame about pursuing the kind of life I want to have? Or would I feel more shame about being 95 years old and knowing that I could have done cooler? Maybe I could have been cool enough to go to the Met Gala. My 95-year-old self will never know. I would feel more shame about getting to the end of this life and knowing I didn't live it all the way to the edges. And sometimes I need that kind of motivating factor to get myself to move. I've been telling myself a lot lately, this phrase over and over, this is scary, I feel fear, and I'm gonna do it anyway. Bringing out the first book in 5 years, it's scary for me. It feels scary. In the last 5 years, so many things have happened, and I feel like a lot of people have used the pain that we've gone through as a family as sort of their content. And I'm very aware that bringing out a new book just sort of like fans the flame on people who make a living criticizing other people. And that makes me feel afraid. But I'm going to do it anyway, because I think that the work that I do can help somebody. If one person heard this today and they're like, well, I'm going to confront my crazy stepmom because she ran off with my boyfriend and they stole my car. Like, if this conversation today gave you the courage to have a hard chat you need to have, or maybe it encouraged you to go watch Only Murders in the Building, I don't know. But I like to think that there's one person that is helped by the work that I'm doing. And so I want to keep doing it. And in this day and age, if you want to have a public facing figure, there's going to be critique of that. That just is the nature of media. And I'm engaging in the media because I want to do this work. And it's still scary. And I'm going to do it anyway. And I know not all of you are in the same situation that I'm in, but I think we all have situations in our lives where we feel afraid. So the thing that has really helped me is just to acknowledge it. Okay, you feel afraid. And it's okay to feel afraid. And we're going to do this anyway. So anyway, that was a very long conversation about a lot of things. And I hope at least one of you got something out of it. Thank you so much for hanging out. I will be back soon with more conversation. You can always find all the things I talked about, like the journal, pre-order the book, follow me on Instagram, whatever. You can find it all in the show notes. I will be back next week with more conversation. And until then, as always, I love you, and I'm rooting for you.